Okay guys, so I think this will be the last vlog for tonight. So I am now going to try and paint this mask. Not sure exactly how it's going to turn out yet. By the way, what do you think of my palette? Sorry, I just love this palette, I do. So cool, you know. It's made out of plywood or something like that anyway. Plywood and cardboard actually. I think I might have vlogged about this thing before. Anywho, thing is that one of the things about this palette is, and like I say, it's a bit of a cheap one, or it's not cheap, but it's made out of cheap material, shall we say. And so therefore it's not the best quality in the world, and it makes it really difficult to clean, to be quite honest. But anyway, anywho, yeah, I do like it because, like I say, it's pretty cool. Right, I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put that back on there for a minute because this colour isn't working. And I'm trying to think, what do I need? It's been so long since I've really done some serious painting. Right, hang on. Oops. Right, so do you know, I'm just starting to realise why the heck am I, because I need to really concentrate on what I'm doing, because when I'm painting I find it, sometimes I can chat away, funny enough. I mean, I know I'm saying I can't multitask, and I can't essentially, but I think what it is that once I'm in the flow, once I've established something, and again, this isn't my normal painting on the canvas thing, and because it's been so long since I've actually done any serious painting, and because I'm not in the flow and blah 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 or whatever, I'm just very, very conscious of the fact that I need to be able to concentrate on what I'm doing, and that means that I won't necessarily be referring to the camera every 5 minutes, and I won't be telling you exactly what I'm doing, and and that might just become extremely boring. So again, I thought I'd be able to do it actually. I thought I'd be able to, but now that I've just turned it on and I'm trying to do what I'm doing, and like I said, the thing is that that's not. Basically, I will explain something I'm trying to do. I was thinking I'm just going to do your sort of normal, bog standard face, you know, sort of kind of thing. I was thinking of stylising it a bit like the mask over there, but then I thought to myself, well, do you know what? Don't know if I want it that stylised either. Then I thought maybe doing it more realistic kind of thing, at least the face, the mask if you like, whatever. But again, I don't want it to be, it'll look too juxtaposed, I think, possibly. So then I thought, you know, I'll do, like I say, do I do a normal bog standard face? And then I started thinking about labels again, and then I'm thinking, well, you know, I was going to paint it from the perspective of doing it as a white person's face, you know, coming from that background, as it were. And then I thought, well, labels aren't just necessarily, I mean, we label all sorts of people for all different reasons. And then I thought to myself, more often than not, and especially at the moment, in this time that we're living at the moment, particularly it seems to me, that most of the labels, particularly negative labels, are aimed towards people with dark skin, shall we say. And I'm generalising, obviously, and again, people might, people will have all sorts of opinions, and like as famously been said countless times before, opinions are like arseholes, everybody's got one. So, I'm not trying to be controversial here, I'm just trying to think in terms of what is the realities kind of thing, and the realities are that most of the labels, particularly negative labels, as I say, in the world, what you see in the media, particularly coming out in general sort of thing, seem to be geared towards more towards people with dark skin. Whether that's black, whether that's Asian, whatever. Most of those negative labels are being the connotations are towards them more, sort of thing. Now, okay, you could argue, well, no, all white people are getting this, that, and the other, and they're getting demonised. Well, maybe so to some degree. You can make arguments either way. Do you know what I mean? That isn't the point. The point of my art isn't necessarily to make arguments or to take one side over another. You know what I mean? I'm not about taking sides on people. Do you know what I mean? Because that's, obviously, if it's the wrong side or the right side, then yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? There's a wrong and a right way. Do you know what I mean? Well, and again, you could always argue about that as well. The point I'm trying to make, or the point I'm trying to say, is that at the end of the day, sorry, completely lost where I was going now. Not trying to, well, maybe, see, that's the point. I am trying to be controversial in some ways, but not for the sake of it, and not just to just make controversy or to what's it, but to just try to be honest and try to stimulate conversation that hopefully is positive rather than aggravating or pointing fingers or setting one set of people against another set of people, because there's far too much of that in the world as it is. Do you know what I mean? Just way too much sort of, I'm trying to be about everybody trying to, one, get along, two, trying to resolve differences, trying to understand each other, trying to live together. Do you know what I mean? Life's too damn short to try not to. Do you know what I mean? So, as I said, personally, I think there should be a brown face. Because, as I said, at the moment, that's the reality of the situation. More negative labels and connotations are being pointed towards people of colour, one way or another. And like I said, everyone has an opinion. That's my opinion. That's what I feel I can perceive from what I see in the media, from what I see happening around the world, and so forth. That's the way it appears to me. Other people can have a different opinion, fine. Do you know what I mean? But that's my opinion. Anyway, so as I say, I don't want to turn this into some sort of, oh God, sometimes I get into these things and I don't mean to get into, because I'm trying to keep things simple as well. I don't want to cause loads of controversy and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's not what I'm about. Try and keep it simple, honest, to the best of my ability. I'm no freaking angel, and I'm not perfect. Do you know what I mean? I make lots of mistakes in my life, lots of mistakes all the time, but I try to do the right thing as much as I possibly humanly can. But like I say, I'm not perfect, I'm working on it. I'm working on being perfect. Oh dear. No, I didn't mean to get into a big sort of serious conversation necessarily. Trying to do a little bit of art and just trying to do this art some justice as well, sort of thing, because I don't want it I want some kind of realism to the tone of the skin, but I don't want it to look too I'm not heading for absolute near perfection of skin tone either, because otherwise I'd have to stop what I'm doing right now and turn the camera off and just really try and work on getting it absolutely spot on. You've got to remember and appreciate the fact that, like I say, it's been a heck of a long time since I've actually done some physical, actual painting. And it's like anything. It's literally like they say. It's not like, well, it is like riding a bike in some ways, but it's not quite like riding. Well, even when you haven't ridden the bike for a long time, you don't I mean, they say once you know, like riding the bike. Once you've learned, you know how. Doesn't matter how long you get back on it, you can ride it. In general, absolutely. But I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, if you haven't been on a bike for a number of years, yes, you know how to ride it, you know the mechanics and everything, but when you first start off again, you are a bit wobbly and a little bit, what's going on, to begin with, and then, eventually it becomes more familiar and you get on with it again. And very much like this, in a way, and they say if you don't practice your art, you lose it, you know what I mean? And, there's another couple of sayings that off the top of my head I'm trying to remember and I can't. But the thing is, if I don't practice this, I become rusty at it, and so therefore I might even forget stuff, you know what I mean? I might even forget things that perhaps I should do, or ways of creating a particular colour or whatever, because I haven't done it for so long. And do you know, for some reason today I seem to be really struggling finding a brush that I'm comfortable with. That's weird. That's too big, that's a bit too short, but it'll have to do. It's not quite the brush I wanted. I used to have a particular couple of brushes that I used to use fairly regular, and I really enjoyed using them. And now I can't seem to find the ones I want. It's a bit annoying, to be quite honest. Frustrating and annoying. This isn't quite what I wanted either, but it's a bit better than that little brush at the moment, because the little brush is alright for detail, and that's what I was thinking about at first, but then changed my mind and thought, no, let's just do the blocking first. This is when you're trying to cover a large area of canvas or a particular part of the canvas or whatever. We call it blocking in, where you're blocking in lots of colour. You know what I mean? It basically doesn't matter about any tones or any other or details or anything necessarily to begin with, because all you're doing is just filling in the colour. Because initially I was thinking I'll try and do this as delicately as possible. Then I thought, well, do you know, really I need to just block in lots of colour to begin with and work from that, because that's the base. That'd be the base of what you create, whether it's a painting you're creating or whether it's this mask or whatever. And of course I'm trying to get slightly different tones and slightly different, because there might be shadow and parts where but then again, you see, I'm thinking, the thing is, I'm trying to keep it reasonably simple, and let's say without it being too realistic, because I don't necessarily want, it's not supposed to be an actual representation of a human, well, no, sorry, it is supposed to be a representation of a human being. It's just not supposed to be an absolute I can't think of the word. Sorry. Sometimes my brain, it might just really hot in here as well. My heating, I can never get my heating right. It's either too hot in this house or it's too cold. I can never get it absolutely spot on. Right. You see, I'm being really quiet again now as I'm trying to concentrate. See, that's like I say, I can't. I find it really hard to do this. Right. Because as I'm painting, you see, that's the thing. That's what I love about this, actually. And I guess that's why I say it's cathartic. When I think about it, it's interesting. The process is interesting, because I just realised that as I'm painting and as I'm trying to talk to you guys, there's another part of my brain going, hang on, I need to think about, as you make a brush stroke, this is a biofeedback thing, because what your brain is telling you the movements of your arm, and then it's translated into your fingers, into your hand, which is then translated down to the brush, which is then translated onto the canvas or the object that you're painting, and then your eyes will see what's happening in the marks that you're making, and then the information from that will then be fed back into your brain, which then your brain will say like, well, maybe we need to make an adjustment there because that isn't working, or that tone doesn't look quite right, and then that again will translate down your... Do you see what I mean about there's a feedback loop going on as you're creating, as you're painting. And so to actually address a camera and do this at the same time is extremely difficult. At least for me. I mean, I don't know, maybe other people can do that, because maybe other people have done it for so long, for so many years, for whatever, or just naturally good at it, at doing that. You know, whereas I must admit, I struggle with that. I either need to put my full concentration on this, or the full concentration on the camera. That's why, if you notice, I find it extremely difficult to do both. I either end... sorry, I can't speak. I either end up doing both, doing one or the other. So I'll either end up concentrating solely on what I'm doing with the mask, and then I'll go really, really quiet, or I end up just waffling onto the camera and not doing anything with this. So again, I think because I've waffled on enough, and because I've already got 3 videos up today, this will be 5 altogether. But I love doing this as well. I look great. Brilliant.